I just imitate all of my DJs. Can you hear me okay? Sorry.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, our honor.
Hi!
I know that they did this joke many times, right, with you?
Never.
Never!
Never did that.
So Danish Pete.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me today and being a part of this and bringing me over to your beautiful city. We've spent the day, Amy and Anthony, to walk around, and we had a nice brunch this morning. We went up to see the castle, and sort of the weather was beautiful. We took some pictures and some selfies, and now we're here, and it's great. And I haven't done one of these things in 2 years, but I've had this thing that I want to go and do it again, because I think it's super cool to get out and meet some people. You know, I know we're here to talk about victory amplification, but I'm sure you might want to hear a little bit about my story, where I come from and all that stuff, and why. Definitely. Are you sure?
Absolutely.
Are you sure?
Absolutely.
And I think, you know, when we do these videos on Anderson's music, like and subscribe.
And a super chat.
Yeah, let's do a clone shootout this evening. I think we don't get to see any faces. We don't have any engagement with people. We don't have any. You know, we see a red light, and then we'll see some view numbers on the screen, and then, you know, that's it really. So we don't get to chat to people. You know.
Do you do live also on the shows, or
no? We've done at NAMM. We've done a live thing, me and Lee, and it's kind of, you know, we just sit and do our jams like we do, you know, our dad blues jams, and which is fine, you know, dad blues is good, but it's nice to get out and actually talk to people. I don't meet many people unless people recognize me, which is so.
Which never happens, right? Never happens.
It's weird when it happens, you know, because let me talk about my story really quick.
Absolutely.
So I started playing guitar when I was like 10, 11. I found a guitar I went to my parents are hippies, you know, so I went to this hippie school, and there was like a guitar lying around in the sofa, this summer camp place, and I sort of picked it up, you know, and there was one of the dads, a friend of my parents, was just like, oh, you got a guitar, there's my guitar, you know, and he showed me like an E and an A and a B, and then I was like, you know, I was just like, I picked it up really quickly, and he was like, oh, I think I need to teach you a bit of guitar, and so he started teaching me guitar, you know, and then I learned Blackbird, you know, at like 11.
Wow.
And
as a second song normally for everybody.
Yes, Smoke on the Water first, right? Yeah, and then a bit of blues. And it just caught me into the whole guitar thing.
Sorry, det är det var hej, labrador.
Yeah, whatever he said. No, it's fine. What did you say?
He's a bad ankle, and I said, don't stand, come here and sit.
Come sit down, there's an extra chair somewhere.
He doesn't want.
No, martyr. Yeah, so and then I quickly moved on to another friend of my parents, was a real guitar teacher. And then when I was about 16, you know, when you're 16, you go to school, and then you might go to the next, what do you call it here? College, university is next, whatever. And I sort of applied to this music academy. You had to do an audition, and you had to do written tests, right? And my written test was awful, terrible. And
Theory,
yeah. And but they were like, I think we got something about you playing. So I did that for 3 years.
They excuse your theory.
Yeah, they was like, yeah, you don't know what anything is, and to a certain degree, you still don't know what anything is with theory, because it's you know, we'll maybe talk about that later. And please stop and ask questions at any time if you want, because that's what we're here for. I think not about the amps. Forget about the amps. You just heard it. Sounded great.
Sell the amps.
Sell the amps. You want to sell the amps? These are the best amps. No, don't go there.
No, don't.
These amps are great. So anyway, so I did that, and I think, to be honest, I think 16 was very young to join an academy, because I didn't know where I was in my musical experience as not just as a player, but I was a young
But
person.
you were playing in band already at that age?
Oh yeah, so I mean, I had my first band when I was about 12. I was in a band from 12, 13, and we were playing like Smoke and Water, Johnny Be Good, all of that different stuff. And because of the school I went to was it's a free school. They just gave you the keys to the rehearsal rooms where there was drums and all sorts of stuff, and they would be very supportive in whatever the students wanted to do. And they would figure out, oh, this guy's good at drawing, this girl is good at, art, whatever it was. And I was good at music, and there was some really supportive teachers, and they gave us the keys to the school so we could rehearse at the weekend at the age of 13, 14.
All in Denmark, right?
Yeah, this is back in Denmark. So, yeah, Danish Pete, I am from Denmark.
Surprise.
Surprise! But you would be surprised how many people go, so where are you from, Danish Pete? Holland? Yeah. Oh man, yeah, I get that all the time. That's crazy. You won't believe it. You won't believe it. And I think,
True.
And that I think the first we did gigs when I was 13, and then they never really stopped gigging. I was just out doing gigs. I made myself a little trailer for my bicycle, so I could fit my little Marshall Valve Stake 880 in there, and my little pedal board, and then we would cycle down to the local pub where play blues in front of 50, 60-year-old men,
How old were you when you got first paid for playing?
At 13. I remember having my first 30 euros or something.
Gee.
In my double denim already then. I was dripping the double denim, and it was just, it just caught me. And I had some amazing inspirational people around me, musicians in my mother's family. They're very musical on that side. My grandfather was musical. But I have had a really good, it's like a cousin, it's like a second cousin to me, a drummer, who I've always looked up to, and he's always been so inspiring to me. So I think, actually I spoke to him last weekend, and for the first time, and he's now 55, and I'm like, and I was like, you were one of the biggest inspirations to me when I was 12, 13 years old. I remember going to their house, and his dad was a drummer, and they were having a house party, and it was just, they were playing in the living room, and they're like, hey, go and play guitar, and they just let me stand there and play like an old Fender Silverface, full speed at like 12 o'clock at night as a 13-year-old, which was an amazing thing. So that's why I think inspiration for me is really important. So that's why coming out to these kind of events, to actually meet people, to say that people who write messages, whoever, saying this is really inspiring and thank you for doing all this stuff, to actually say thank you back. I think that's so important. I don't think, I'm not necessarily...
Sorry, you were talking about inspiration, so my question is, who were the people who were inspirational for you musically who are not guitar players?
Yeah, that's... No! So...
I mean, you talked about your cousin, but...
Yeah, I mean, that was so early on. My parents, they've always played Led Zeppelin and Jimi Hendrix and Beatles, and I think they probably played all of that stuff so much that I never really paid attention to it. Do you know what I mean? And I never became, I think I listened back then probably more to the bands than to the player. I've never been a guitar player that's gone in and said, I want to learn to play exactly like Stevie Ray, or I want to be Clapton. I've always gone, what is it from these different people and the band that, that can, I think Whitney Houston has inspired me to learn to play stuff, or Babyface, stuff that you would never, but also Rolling Stones, or, Tool, because there is, we were talking about this earlier, music is something that everyone has within them, in a primeval, from drums. There's a groove and there's a feel that just draws people in, and that's the inspirational thing. So I don't necessarily think that the inspiration is from playing. I know that a lot of people find Stevie Ray or Jimi Hendrix and they go, oh, he was my biggest inspiration and that's why I started playing guitar. I don't have that. I never had that. I just had the music.
Cool. So how did you up in the British Empire?
Well, and why are you there still?
No, I'm sure there's a good reason.
Yeah, there is a good reason. So I you know, played along when I was like 16, 17, 18, and then...
Away from home or still based?
Yeah, so no, I moved out when I was 17. So I moved to my own flat when I was 17 years old, and we were just gigging.
You made so much money on gigs,
I
right?
was just fucking rolling in the cash paper. Girls and drugs and everything at 17. No, we just did bands, you know. I just ended up in lots of bands where I lived in my hometown, and there was really, and I actually started teaching. Denmark is a really cool place. There's a lot of, I remember getting a grant from the town I lived in, so I could go and do music school, which was free, but I still got money from. I won this sort of grant, and then I would teach a little bit, and then I would get paid that. So I've always worked to subsidize my music fix, and I need the fix of the music. It's not. Still to this day, I don't do it for the money. You know, the money is nice, and if you have a good gig, it can be good. But I'd rather do it because I feel that I get something out of it, or people get something out of it. You know, and you see me on the videos. That's how I am in real life. You know, when I get to talk, when Lee's not fucking talking all the time. You know.
Yeah,
I'm very passionate about the whole thing, not just the guitar. You know, and I can see when people get inspired by something that we do or I do, or it's just magic, you know, or somebody saying something, talking about something, going out there, doing a TED talk. You know, it could be about alcoholism, or it could be about a book that they wrote, anything like that, and people just, you know, I would listen to Chris Martin, the Martin guy, you know, the main guy, and hear him talk. You just go, oh, you know.
Like Paul Reed Smith.
Like Paul Reed Smith, who is a complete and utter eccentric psychopath, but I love him. You know, I mean, he is, you know, and it's taken me.
So you talk about music, and then it's inside. You don't do music for money. So looking back on your career so far, what do you think as musically best moments or achievements, whatever you call it?
I've been really lucky. So anyway, I moved over to Copenhagen, and I was there, and I remember not being able to find my way around because this is before sat-navs and anything. So I had a friend who I got to pick me up, and we drove into the flat I've got, you know, and then he's like, let's go to a jam night. And this is the same night I moved to Copenhagen. So I pick a guitar, go down to the jam night, and I have a jam, and then next week I had gigs, and then I just had gigs. I don't know if it was me or the way I played.
In bands or?
In bands, just bands. And then in 2003, 2002 I started working with this, do you remember Big Brother? You know, they came out, and a friend of mine, he became a friend of mine, he wrote the song for the Big Brother music, and they needed a guitar player to do some stuff in the US, and just stand there and play and look cool, you know, in America. So, and he was like, do you want to come and do that? Yeah, it's cool. And his manager was, I mean, it's a long story, I'm trying to talk quick here, because I got a lot to say. His manager was Aqua's manager, tour manager, right? Aqua, Barbie girl, which is fucking amazing. I love Aqua. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding. But anyway, so he was the tour manager, and then René Diff, the rapper from Aqua, was doing his own album, and so he had a guy called Gary Wallace, which is a drummer, and he's played with Pink Floyd and Stevie Wonder. He's a really big drummer in the US, in the UK, and he was over to produce René's album, and he was like, do you want to come play some guitar on it? I was like, yeah, fine. So I went out, played some guitar, and Gary was like this, and this is about 2003, and then I say, oh man, if you ever need a guitar player in the UK, give me a call.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, fucking brilliant. So I'm down doing a Madonna tribute band in the local, venue, and then my phone rings and they say, hey, it's Gary, do you wanna come over and do a gig? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. It's like, okay, it's Tom Jones at the Brit Awards. And I've done good gigs with bigger Danish artists at this point, but like nothing like that.
Compared to.
And I'm like, yeah, get fucked, you know. And he's like,
and it's tomorrow, right?
Yeah, no, it's like in a week or something, you know. And then he's like, no, that's fine, man. I'll give me your details and I'll send an email now when you come back from gigs and I'll make sure it's all done, itinerary and everything. And I was just like, yeah, okay. And he's a bit of a joker, you know. So I was like, yeah, fine. Got home, there's the email. plane tickets, you know, get to the airport, on the plane, there's a guy on the other side, name, take me to a fancy hotel, and then next, I'll pick you up tomorrow at 10, take me to Music Bank, which is one of the biggest at the time music rehearsal rooms that everybody used in the UK. And this is me from Denmark, who's, you know, been playing gigs, you know, gigging musician. Walk in there, 5-piece brass band, percussionist Johnny Linscott, you know, drums, bass, 2 guitar players, and Hammond and keyboards, and you know.
But you were already prepared by the time you arrived, right?
Yeah, I prepared but because you have to play. It's not unusual. You know, Sex Bomb, and you know, Delilah, right. You know, and so. But I just walked in there. What's happening? How do I get this? Why is it me? Okay. But I've sort of just embraced it. I never had like a path where you know, and that was my first big thing. Okay. And I've done lots of since then.
How many years did you do with Tom Jones?
So that we did the Brit Awards, and then there was a few gigs here and there, and then I started touring with them again in 2010. But before that, I've done, you know, lots of English girl bands and boy bands like Girls Aloud, Atomic Kitten, Westlife, Blue. You know, lots of that kind of those kind of. You might not know them here, and I don't blame you because it's not fucking great. You know, it's just pop songs. It is 4 girls dancing on a stage while you're standing in the background.
Paying gigs, right?
It's paying gigs, you know. Right. And then it was Tom Jones for 3 years. You know, we did a couple of a UK tour, and you know, I can't believe we were talking about this earlier that I have played with him around the world, and I've got to see, and I've sat with him and had a drink with him, and he's told me stories. We played in Las Vegas at the MGM Hollywood Theatre, the Grand, for two times, but for a month at a time. Yeah. And just standing with him in...
It's like every night, right, Tom Jones?
Yeah.
For a month or something.
Yeah, for a month, yeah. And I couldn't still believe it by the end of this stuff, that I still did it, you know. So I've been super lucky. I don't know, I think, I don't know what it's got to do with the person. It has to be a mixture of everything, doesn't it?
Right.
You know.
Well, coming last night from the airport, I think I realized that I probably saw you when Tom Jones was playing in Pop Laszlo Arena, and probably you were the guitarist 10 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, it
so you played here.
Yeah,
right? He was in
yeah. I mean, what a guy. You know, I've never heard him complain in like 3-4 years. I've never heard him say anything bad about anyone. I've never heard him say anything or even act like, oh, my thing, why was not on my rider? You know, like something like that, which I've heard young people in boy bands and girl bands do, taking the tour bus to drive 2 minutes up the road to go shopping, you know, a $3,000 a day tour bus. Yeah. He would never do that, you know. So there's this passion for it, and I've been so lucky to experience it, being within that, and I think it shapes you as a person a little bit, and of course also in your playing, you know. I mean, I don't know. Any questions? Sorry, well, this is I'm rambling on.
And since then, so after Tom Jones, and between Andersons?
Yeah, I mean, the whole Andersons thing. The whole Andersons thing was like, I did a tour, so then I did Il Divo, which is like this pop opera band, and we did another world tour with them. Actually, I turned the first Il Divo tour down, and I couldn't believe I did it. Because Il Divo is like I don't know if anybody knows about Il Divo, but it's like
they come here also regularly.
Yeah, they come over here, yeah. And it is more, there's lots of nylon string guitars, you know, which I was the first time like, it's not my kind of music. And I had my own studio in Copenhagen, we had our own band, we were writing jingles for radio, and we were producing stuff for Danish artists. I have actually got a gold diamond album or something somewhere, you know, for selling songs. They're crazy, but that doesn't make a living. Don't make any money out of that anymore. You know, you just fuck all. So you get like 10 grand up in advance, and then I'm still trying to recoup that old money 20 years later. Yeah, then I did a tour in Germany with a German artist called Helene Fischer. Which in Germany she's a huge artist, and by this point I've had 2 kids, you know, and being away when you have kids and you're away for 4 months at a time was difficult, you know. Touring is a wonderful thing. It's one of the best things I've ever been involved with, and I love it. I love the camaraderie, I love the way that it shapes you as a human being, as a player. I mean, we all got our demons, right? We all have got shit happening to them. We all got something, you know, and that will never be cured. But at least we got music and guitars, because it is form of therapy. Anyway, so where was I? Fucking hell.
Kids.
Two kids. I can't even remember my kids. It's like I'm talking about my kids, which I've, you know. So, I've got kids. You know. So, so I've got 3 kids, right? So I've got Daddy. I've got 3 kids that I know of. They always have like a pound. I sort of go into the, if I see a baby carriage, you know, the baby net, just in case. So they were born. I came home for a tour, and then I had a daughter, and she was born, and then I went away like 2 weeks later for like 2 months. You know, it's tough. It's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, and I had to do that twice. I get all emotional just thinking about it. And then I was doing this tour in Germany, and the artist Helena Fish is a big artist, and we were having our 3rd daughter, and we had done all the productions, all the rehearsals, and then we were going to go into production rehearsals in the first arena. And they actually moved everything because I was having a baby. For me, we're talking like 20 lorries tour. We're talking ginormous tour. Lots of 200 people.
20 lorries.
Yeah. And when we did the stadium, it was 42 lorries. It was like, anyway, so they moved that, and unfortunately she was late. So I was on tour in Düsseldorf. I'm in a hotel room and I'm watching Scout, my daughter, get born on FaceTime. And I was like, fuck this. And then I was like, oh well, congratulations. Just hung up, sitting in a hotel room on your own, and just going, what are you doing? What is happening? You know. And I didn't see her. Luckily, I didn't see her for like a month. But they then flew me home. There's a gap from Hanover to blah, and we got your flight. Go. So I met her at the airport.
So you finished the tour with Helena?
Yeah. So then I flew home, saw my daughter, went back out on the tour, and then came home. And then at the meantime, I sort of done a little bit of YouTube stuff for a distributor, like a demo guy, you know, in the UK. And I've been to Anderson's a few times. And then Lee was going, you know, I need somebody to take over this YouTube channel, because at that point, Rob Jackman and Lee, they were doing all the videos on Rob's channel. And Anderson's just had this little 20,000, you know, and Lee was like, we need somebody to do that, because he could see that in the future YouTube would be big. And I was like, I don't know what a camera is, you know. But he's like, yeah, but I'll give you some money, and then if you want to do it, I'll give you a salary, and then you can stay home. And I was like, absolutely, I'm going to jump on this thing. And that's 10 years ago now.
You know? I need to ask the question that your original music is there? Danish Pete music, original music, on your own band? Is this something, a fantasy you still put it away? Or?
I mean, it's been so busy. I've done all these backing tracks, and I get sort of my my sort of writing out by doing the backing tracks. And I'm happy everybody can have them here tonight if they want to. I'll just give them to. Because then I get to sort of write some stuff, you know. And I think I would like to do something at some point. But you know, we get to play a lot and get to come up with a lot of loops and stuff. So you probably do a loop. So you probably play something really nice. Yeah, so that's 10 years ago. And then I put everything into that. I think I'm that kind of guy. So it's sort of like I go in deep, you know. And now we're hitting 1 million in 10 years, so that's not bad. Yeah.
So yeah, congratulations.
I'll leave there with nothing. Lee's the one who's got the 4 million pound house.
So in 10 years, do you know how many guitars you played? Roughly,
yeah.
When the ballpark figure.
And this is not, I mean, to be a demo guy is a completely different thing for being a musician, you know. I must have played, I don't know. So if we do 4 videos a day, 2 or 3 days a week. I mean, I used to do on my own when I started. I would do 10, 15 videos a day. I would edit them all myself and then put them all up. I would set everything up and do everything.
You still have your channel?
Yeah, I still have my channel. I don't do anything on it, you know, and it's just sitting there. And I would love to do some more stuff. I would love to do some more of this sort of stuff. But it's, for me, I think it's cooler to come out and see people, because I'm talking to a bloody camera. I'm not getting any feedback. It's like, what are you saying here? What are you talking to? Who's watching on the other side? You know. And I said earlier, I remember going to the to see John Mayer at the O2. Oh, John Mayer again.
Yes, a question.
Yeah.
You played, I don't know, hundreds or thousands of guitars and pedals, and
yeah.
you know, you play everything that comes out, or a lot of gear that comes out.
Yeah.
Is there anything that's genuinely exciting, or that was genuinely exciting from you know, like from the last, 1, 2, 3 years, stuff like that? You know,
don't lie. Yeah, and I know, it's a good question.
Are you still excited opening a guitar case and something?
So, oh no, I was talking about John Mayer. Just weave it straight off.
We'll come back.
Yeah, we'll come back to that one. No, I mean, guitars excite me, you know, and gear excites me. It's difficult to, at the moment there's not a lot of new stuff coming out, which is cool, because it can be difficult to be excited about the 10th new clone that's come out this week. And it sounds exactly the same as the other 10 that came out last week. Right. But occasionally, you know, I'm excited about guitars, you know, and it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm excited about Paul Reed Smith's new Dragon for 18 grand, you know. I could be just as excited about a Squier Affinity that's coming out, right? Because that can be just as good, and it could be the starting point for someone in their career and their musical journey that will light them up, right? Right. So if I think it's cool, I will tell people. If I like it, I'll tell people. If I don't like it, I don't say it. I would say I'll say I don't like it, you know. And I think personally, when I do videos, I don't get paid for it, and Andertons don't get paid for it. Of course, Andertons will sell stuff, so he can buy a Porsche, you know, and I can't. 2 Porsches. Oh, that's right. He's got 2. Yeah, that's right. And a swimming pool. Sorry if you're watching this. See you on Monday for more videos. I'll pay for that wooden flooring that you have to put in as well, and the marble kitchen.
What about the wardrobes?
Yeah, and the wardrobes. I finally got him on to wear Nike shoes. He's like, he hasn't been wearing them. It's like, finally I got him on Nike shoes. What were you saying? What's the question?
Talking about guitars.
Yeah, guitars. So Squier guitars, you know, we do. You know, I'm so lucky. I've probably played 10,000 guitars. I mean, probably, and 10,000 pedals. And I'm not even joking. You know, I can play sometimes 20 guitars in a day, right? And I think people, how can I put this without being sounding like a complete asshole? I think people get something in their minds that they only like 9.5-inch radius, and they only like stainless steel frets, and they only like certain pickups, they only like a certain thing, and they always go for that. Where I go, this guitar, or I'm going to mod this guitar. Where I go, this guitar does this, this guitar makes me play like this guitar does that, it makes me play like this guitar does that, and it makes me play like this. It inspires me to play like this, that inspires me to play like this. And same with amplifiers, same with pedals, right? And I always try to find the best in products.
Because sometimes guitarists who are strong, okay, don't take it wrong, whatever tool you give him in the hands will sound always the same, right? Because he wants to be sound like that. So, but when you are approaching something, you know, whatever it inspires you.
Yeah, I mean, I think the guitars and the amps and everything inspires me to play it, and for that thing to come out of the guitar. I mean, you see, this is all I've got with me. You know, playing 1,000 guitars also gives you a sense of you can pick anything up and make it sound good. Okay. And if it's really inspiring to me, I'll take it to the next level. Or, you know, it'll never be shit. And I've learned so much from being a touring musician, from doing session work in studios, and, you know, having my own studio, just about tone, I think people forget about themselves in the whole guitar equation. I think they forget about them. However they are in here, comes out through all of this, what the fingers do, how many different ways you can touch the string to make it sound, where you can do it on a fretboard, back to here, and where the pickup, you know, or you can play with your fingers. You know, there's so many ways to approach a guitar, you know, and like this is a beautiful guitar, but I don't know anything about it. You know, I don't know what frets are on it. I don't know the string gauge, anything like that. I guess it's 10s, you know.
And the radius?
And the radius probably 10, 12.
Yeah. Right.
So, is it right? Yeah, something like 12. Yeah. So I think I approach it. Maybe I approach it a little bit in another way, you know, than just than going. That's my guitar, and it has to be like that. I'd rather have. You know, it's like going out to build a kitchen, Lee's kitchen for instance. Let's say I'm building Lee's kitchen and I got my toolbox, you know, I can't just have one hammer. I'll have to have 4 different hammers, and screwdrivers, I'll have to have one of those, and I have to have one of those, and I have to have a big one, a small one, you know. And I think pedals and gear is a little bit the same. I mean, it's a disease, as we all probably know in this room, because once you get one, you want another one.
So, is there any gear that you miss currently from the market, or something that's in your hand and it doesn't exist as a product, or you know I'm talking about a specific kind of, I don't know, guitar or pedal or something.
Yeah, but that's a good question actually, which can lead us on to the amplifiers here, and especially the deputy amplifier. I mean, so Victory amplifiers is, you know, after meeting Lee, and you know, the first Victory amp I played was the Jack lunchbox set, which is sort of a 2-channel, clean and a bit of dirty. It was an amp developed with
Guthrie.
Yeah, with Guthrie, which is fucking insane. You know?
Countess, right?
Yeah.
Countess now. It was the
Countess. Yeah, the Countess. Yeah. V30. There's funny because there's different names on them, right? And then you know we had the Duchess, and then I stopped using them and playing them, and you know Lee is involved. You know, it's no secret. You know, it never was, but it then came out on YouTube. Oh, it's big secret. Lee never fucking said anything. You know, and we're like, what is this? Like, everybody should know that. Anyway, so when they brought out the deluxe version of this, and I was working at Anderson's, they asked me to sort of demo it, because they obviously trusted my ears or whatever. So I worked with them a little bit on that, you know, which speakers do we put in it, and how do we voice it, and should there be a tremolo one in, and you know, all that different stuff. And the same when the 140 came out. And of course, Rabir, we all love Rabir. He's my fucking hero, you know, he's such a nice guy, and he deserves everything. Everything. He deserves it all, his success, and I would do anything for that man, you know. And we have such a good relationship, and we play so nicely together, and it's so lovely to just be able to vibe up with him, you know. And he then did the Kraken, which, if you want to hear that, you can go. And this is the version 2, I think. Yeah. So more knobs on it. That's all I know.
More gain.
Yeah, more gain. Yeah, exactly. Better clean channel. Yeah.
Nobody knew about it.
Yeah. And then you know there's a Sheriff, which is this one here. And I love the Sheriff, it's really good. But we were talking about what should we develop. Not me, because I don't get paid. What, you know, they were asking, what do you think we should do? And we did the DP40 with the purple version of the Duchess.
The Duchess.
Yeah, and
it was exactly the same or a little bit tweaked?
It was the same, but it had different reverb in it. So the reverb is different. You know? So it's purple version, but with different reverb. Yeah, and it was more because they were let's make a purple amplifier and it looks cool, you know.
Let's come back to the DP and the color.
Yeah, DP. And then the color purple. So anyway, so we were talking about what should we do next, and then they were like, do you want to design something with Martin Kitt? Martin Kitt is an amazing designer, and what do you think is missing in the lineup? And I was like, you need something between the Duchess, so the V40, and the Sheriff. That is too gainy, and it's not gainy enough. And you don't have anything that's like a JTM 45 style amp. And
it's not even the vintage channel of the Sheriff was in your taste?
It's still different. Yeah, okay. It was too gainy. It was too JCM 800 sort of. It got the vintage vibe on it, but it's not. It wasn't that JCM 45 that can do cleans.
Right. Was anything specific in your head when you're talking about the beauty? An amp, a vintage amp, or whatever.
It was a JCM 45. But at that point, I've been playing like the Friedman, Little Sister, and I was really into that amp. But there was a few things I was like, it could be better, or can we do this? So so we took kind of inspiration for that at the JCM. So you got 3 gain stages on here, and then you got like a byte switch. But you can do, and it's got reverb, which of course. I don't see many Marshall-style amps have a reverb.
Yeah.
It is a digital reverb, but nonetheless...
Sheriff doesn't have one, right?
And Sheriff doesn't have one, and the Little Sister doesn't have one.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought it would be really cool to have something that can do that low kind of gain. So if you have the gain on like 9, and then you just have...
Reverb, right?
That's just the amp reverb. There are no pedals on at the moment, so the reverb can go for let me just tune. This is what you don't see in the videos, by the way. The hours we tune guitars out. That's all cut out, and all the swearing is cut out. There's a lot of that.
There's a separate channel for that, right?
Oh man,
put all that shit
we put everything, all of those things in a little folder. We keep it for a rainy day when we all want a raise, When me, if you don't give me a raise, I'm gonna fucking put this thing out with you. So you get these, this nice kind of.
So the architecture is pretty simple in terms of as a gain 3-way EQ reverb master.
Yeah, so you got gain 3 EQ reverb master, and then you got like 3 stages of gain and a bright switch.
It's a switch, okay.
So you get a reverb that's like, oh, where's that delay on there? Shouldn't be delay on there. Where's that delay? Is there anything? There's something in the effects loop.
True story. Cheating. It's the delay.
I hate effects loop.
It's the delay from FaceX.
I was like, what the fuck is that? I can take reverb or delay in the effects loop. Don't get me wrong, that sounds a bit rude, but so that's just a little bit of reverb, but it's nice and clean, right? But you can put it on the brick.
So it's 9 o'clock.
That's 9 o'clock, and with everything on 12 o'clock.
Which gain mode?
One gain, so setting 1, mode 1.
It's the lightest.
Yeah, it's the lightest kind of gain. So it just breaks up when you got a hump on it. Or if you hit it. Or if you hit it with like a. So that I've got the gain down here. It's just a little bit of boost. So you get a little bit. It can push the front end of it, which I've not used in a long time. I always use like a clean kind of amp. So I was using the Dutchess for a long time, and all my gain would be in the pedals. So I have like a clean platform, and then push pedals on top of it. Okay. And I'm never like a really gainy kind of guy. I just like it so I can control it. And if there's a solo, I can like a little bit more, but you're not over the top saturated. I'd rather put a little bit of a compressor on it. So. But it all depends on what your gig you're doing, right? So if you're doing this gig or that gig, so you take. That's why there's so many pedals, because there's so many gigs. There's not so many gigs. And then the reverb basically can go from this. That was like 9 o'clock reverb. So this is 12 o'clock. he's just staring at me down there at the end, and I just see he's all playing all the good chords. And I mean, you heard what it sounded like before with gain. It's pretty amazing with gain, right? So it's very responsive, even with everything at 12 o'clock. I said to Martin, I want it for me to sound good at 12 o'clock. I want to put everything at 12 o'clock, and I want it to sound nice. Okay. You know. And then if you got a guitar, you can take stuff away, or you can add stuff. You know. So you're kind of there. So and then the reverb, if you put it all the way up, which is the cool part of this.
Still makes sense.
So, but you don't get any Marshall amp with that kind of digital reverb. So.
Still enjoyable.
But it's enjoyable reverb, it's not too much, and then they've got the effects group, so you can put that in there, you know. And I thought the reason why we did this amp was I thought it was missing a little bit in the catalogue. And then you get a 2x12 and a 1x12 open back, and it's got the speakers. We were talking speakers earlier.
Yeah.
No, Victor, we were talking speakers earlier, and who's a great fucking player too. Fuck, there's so many good players here. That's the whole thing. I'm scared of playing. The speakers is really important, and cabinetry. Cabinets. Yeah. I think people really misunderstand cabinets. I really think they do. I used Mr. Boogie for a long time, and I was an artist of Mr. Boogie, and I used on Tom Jones. I used a Roadster and a 4x12 cab. And a Lone Star 212, like that's, what are you using that for, Tom Jones? And it's because it's the best, it was one of the best clean tones, attack sounds that you can get with the closed cab, and which is made out of birch, so it's a really dense, thick wood. All of these cabinets here are made out of pine, which is quite soft, and I think that it resonates. I'm not a nerd, but I wasn't a nerd before. You know, when I used to tour, I had a standard Strat, standard Telly, standard 335, standard Les Paul, you know, a Martin D series because so it didn't break, and you know, something that was just there to do a job that I could trust on I could count on it every night. You know, I remember doing it the Helena Fischer tour, and we were doing a stadium tour. I mean, why am I doing a stadium tour? Anyway, I came in the next day after done one gig at this stadium somewhere, and the tech came over and he's like, man, I got something to tell you. It's really terrible. And he's like, I was like, what happened? And he's like, yeah, well last night when we were doing so they got a big sort of kabuki that goes, back over at night, and then they take it away so the wind doesn't blow. So they've opened it up, and as it comes past my guitar, because I was on like a riser up here, but right at the end of and here was my guitars. They just grabbed my guitar, like this stand here with all my guitars in it, 335, Les Paul, all of it, and just pulled it down like a meter and a half. Like that.
And none of the Gibsons break, right?
And he was there was no headstock break.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, really? I was like, yeah, they came down from like a meter and a half. And I was like, whatever. And I was like, whatever, because it was just my tools. Yeah. And I wouldn't have gone, oh my god, I have my 64 Fender, what am I going to do? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's not that I don't care about the guitars.
Going back to the cabinet,
yes.
Did you make any comparison of pine versus birch or whatever?
No, Victory, I love the Victory cabs. In my opinion, they're some of the best cabs.
It's all of them pine, right?
Yeah, pine. It's all made of pine, yeah. Okay. I did change, I mean, I'm such a pain in Simon's, in the people, that makes them ask, because I keep going, I want different, things on there, and I want this different. Why don't you do that? How are you going to do it? And I keep fucking doing that till they do it, right? But so, we did a cab that was, they already had a wide body cab, but I was like, why is it so slim? And before I was like, this you've got a smaller cab like this, why it doesn't fit that head on it? Why can't you make it a little bit bigger? And it cost a lot of money to change all the tooling and all that stuff, And you can't just for one cab, so that you have to change the whole range of it. So the 112 open back cab comes with that. It's like that size and like this,
So let's go through maybe the.
Yeah. We can do. So let's stay on gain 1 here. So let's turn all this shit off. So that was 1. And there's 2, right? So just a little bit more, and it's not a lot, but I'm
still gain 9 o'clock, right?
9 o'clock gain still, and then you go all the way down. It's perfect for the blues dad. It's perfect to play the. Do that stuff.
It's just the amp, right?
That's just the amp. Sorry, I should go to position 2. I think this cab sounds slightly different than the open 112 as well, because the open back cab will throw some more bass end out of the back, where this just punches everybody right in the face. So you get the 2 options. You can pick and choose, because it's more martially to have the closed back cab. And that's just with the gain still on that. And then the bright switch. We put it on there because of people would like it on. I would never use it because it gets too bright for me.
Even for a Les Paul.
No, let's say not. It's like marginal, but it's there if you need it and you want some darker pickup. It's just very responsive and nice. It's got it's really nice to play, and it can play that. And there's so much dynamics and nuance just at 9 o'clock.
Right, yeah, okay.
So I can go 12 o'clock.
We ran back to mode 1 in gain, right?
And then you almost get the same 3, gain 3, when we had it up at 12 o'clock. But more. And then we just go over to, what is that, 3 o'clock? I don't play that stuff, so sorry about that. I don't know this guitar. I've never played this guitar before in my life. So. It's all about, when I do that sort of stuff, it's all about, I can do this all day long. There's so much in it, and this is just an amplifier, and I've not even touched the pedals yet. And I need it to be inspiring for me. I want to plug into it and not stop playing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so they get all the way up on 1 still. And again, everything at 12 o'clock. I haven't touched any of the EQs or anything, which is again a testament to Martin. He'll understand if you say, "Oh, you need a bit more marshmallow, squishy, sweet corn bubbleness on the 200 kilowatts hertz, mid-level end in the," and he just goes, "Yeah, okay." And then he's in there with the solo, and then he brings the amp back, and he's like, fucking perfect.
Yeah, but explain this process. Every day you went in trying to test and talk a little bit. How long did it take to get the deputy out?
I don't know. How long did it take to make that? Like a year and a half? 9 months. Yeah, I think so. I think the cool thing is, I mean, I love doing this, and I've got the pedal, you know, and there's some stuff. And for me, it's not about having a signature product, because who am I to have a signature product? At the end of the day, every YouTuber gets a signature product now, you know. And then you see them get a signature, well, look at my new pedal I've done with blah blah blah, and then he's like, well, here's your board, where's your fucking signature pedal, you know. And I'm not going to mention any names, you know, they do a signature guitar amp or something, and they never use it, right? For me, I don't want my name on it, you know, but I would like to create something, and the most important thing is that I want to use it, because I'm the artist that has, you know, as an artist, I love the process of working. I will tell you about how it came up to be. But since I've had the Dane pedal, for instance, it's been almost 6 years now, it doesn't come off my board at all. Because I said, for me, it was the most important thing to get it right. Because if we don't get it right, there's no point in me using it and putting my name to it, you know. But I don't want my name on it, because I would like people to use it even though they don't know me. Because I don't want to be, I'm not in this game to be, I never started doing this. I don't do Instagram or anything because I want to be Instagram famous. I do it because I love music, I love playing guitar, and when it became apparent that I could help inspire guitar players and people, that was even better for me.
Right.
You know?
It looks like people listen to you.
It seems like all is bored. Yeah, so
how does the process go? Like, it's like a normal business. Every Monday morning you go in, have a meeting with Martin, and then discuss the issues or whatever.
That's where Martin is so brilliant. Martin is so brilliant. So, you know, I go. So we make this thing, and he said, "What do you want?" I said, "I would like to have something that has got this on it, has got that on it. It needs to be like this. I would like to have this and that. And then can we do that? And can it sound a little bit like this thing, and a little bit like that thing?" And he goes, "Okay." And then he goes away. And then he comes back with a prototype.
Okay.
And then you go, fuck it, it's almost there.
Okay.
And then you tweak a little bit. I think we met up like 3 or 4 times.
You play like hours, going through like a thing where you just go in?
And we just go in, you know, and we go in and play, and then you know, and then we make lots of notes, and then he takes them with him. And then he comes back again, and then we go, oh, you know what, maybe it wasn't a good idea for that, maybe we should do that instead. And then you go back and work on it. And to be honest...
But during that 9 months, it's like a continuous discussion.
And it helps that Martin is an incredibly good guitar player.
Okay.
So as Pete was saying, if you take the fluff off this and the... When you say that to Martin, he knows exactly what you
I think people underestimate Martin Kidd as a guitar player. He's fucking incredible guitar player. He's got an incredible ear. He's got an incredible touch. I mean, you know, it's so. Guitars is not a linear thing, man. There's so much emotion and feeling in it, and you have to be able to make that come out of an amplifier. And if you're building that amplifier, it's better that you know how that reacts and how, you know. And Martin is just, you know, I'm sitting going, you're playing some stuff on it. I'm like, is it fucking Martin playing? What the hell, you know? You know, you get those moments.
More of a collaboration between the two of you, or other people?
Yeah, but that's how Victory kind of works. It's like you need Martin. He's the man.
For sure, right.
Yeah, and he's the one that creates.
But mostly talk with you about that.
Yeah, but then we also, you know, group people where beer comes in and we go, what do you think about this? And then we talk about it, you know, like the new custom series, the Victory, and you know, that's taken a long time, and it's been a back and forth thing with you know, I'm so lucky to be a part of that team, where you get to actually say something and people go, well, that's a good idea. And then the next thing you know, it's actually incorporated in this product, you know. And again, I have not used that since it came out. And I hear people play it, and it, you know, it sounds incredible, and thank you. Because it's, I mean, it's like, that for me, seeing that people like the stuff that I use, but I don't necessarily want them to know.
Right.
I don't want them to, you know, people buy signature gear. And that's fine, that's fair, and that's nice, you know. But that's not why I do it.
The team was searching long for the name, so at least some DP in it, right?
Yeah, the deputy. Actually, we had when we wrote it. we did like the D, P, E, and then P, and it was like, no, let's not do that.
Thank you, right?
Yeah, there is a little helmet on the backside, isn't there? There's a little piping on the backside.
Right.
But,
Pete is quite an humble guy, but actually, probably you're the only person in the globe who has a custom color at Fender Custom Shop, right? Named after you.
Yeah, but that's the purple thing. You know, you probably know the purple thing. So I got that purple Telecaster back in, it was 8 years ago now, for my 40th birthday.
It was a used Fender Custom Shop for your wife.
My wife, yeah. The story goes that I walked into the shop and I was looking for Telecasters. Didn't have it. I wanted a nice Telecaster. I had a standard Telecaster, and then, you know, I like Prince. You know, Prince is one of my big heroes. You know.
There you go. Somebody has a question. Who's the inspiration, right? So Prince.
Yeah. Prince, massive inspiration on me. You know, but not just his playing. But it's funny, you see Prince when he plays, people go, oh, he's really shit. Actually, he's not really. He's calculated, and everything he plays is all, and the groove on that man, the feel on that man is just like, you know, he play bass or anything, he play anything, it's like, holy shit, man, he's just lying back on this beat, and it's like, oh, the feel, you know, the feel. That sort of groove, it's just, I want it deep inside, you know, not that way. So I'm the same on the videos. Stop it, yeah. So
those are edited out, right?
yeah, exactly. I'm not going to say it, stop it. But so for me, it's not just, I mean, I'm not a fast player by any means, I never have been. It's never really anything that's been, I love being a part of the rhythm group. In my book, drums, bass, guitar, they're the rhythm group. Well, the bass and guitar, no. You have to sit there and you have to just, I call it keep shop. Where you just stand there and you go, beep, beep. You know, you just do the same thing all day long. And you do it for 7 minutes.
Right.
You do that for 7 minutes.
Constantly and stable.
Just that. Same good. We wait. Maybe a little bit of change. Anyway, so you know, I think, and then I can't even do it myself. I'm like, I'm all over the place with else. It comes back to the looping thing and that groove, and which we all got inside. I think to learn to find that beat. And that's, I get that from groovy players that, you know, I admire Steve Vai and all of these guys that can play fantastically fast licks and all that stuff. But I also admire Malcolm Young, who just stands there and fucking plays A. And then you got a drummer just for fucking 10 minutes and he just like, and they wait so long, and there's so much space, and you're like, oh, that's the thing. That anticipation of something needs to happen now, you know. But when you're not going to do it, put it in, don't put it in. Yes, put it in, no, wait, you know, that sort of thing. I used to having sex a lot because it's not just straight in. You need to sort of build it up. Take it. Because then you get a much better sort of, you know what I mean? You know, and then the end of it is like, yes, we are here now. We have arrived. And I know it's really, it's just me, you know.
Remember what we talked about. Remember what we talked about.
Yeah, don't talk like that. Stop it.
We need a short break now.
Yeah, we need a short break. I think a lot of people when they sit down and start practicing, they'll, you know, I've taught myself, I'm going to teach myself, just wind it back and then go, you know, you start, just, let me turn this shit down, man, it's way too loud. You know, you sit down and you want to learn when you learn guitar. There's so much to learn out there now, adjusting guitar, Marty, you know, there's so many fantastic YouTube channels where you can learn to play guitar and you can pick and choose. And it's not just, you know, but you have to sit down with the metronome as well. But I think people can now learn to I want to play this song. And I've always thought, what would you like to learn? I want to learn this song, okay, let's learn that song. Yeah. And it's not like, you know, the kid goes, oh, no, you're going to learn this first. Because there's like, you've lost them already, right? And then once you learn all of that stuff, then you can start learning scales, modes, you know, which all of that stuff for me is kind of, it is interesting and I understand it and I've done it myself and I've done this theory and all that stuff. But I think maybe 2% of the gigs and the tours I've ever done, I haven't used any of it. I would play a G, you know, a Westlife song. You raise me up. You know, this is fucking cowboy chords all night long. You know, and people look at it and go, oh man, you know, I want to play solo all the time. It's not about that. It's about being proud that you can do the best G chord in the entire world. You know.
But we as amateur players, we tell to ourselves that a new piece of gear doesn't make you a better guitarist, but still inspires you to play a little bit more. So how about is any gear inspires you, or you don't care?
We got another.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
So your turn.
No,
just interrupt him, it's fine.
Adding to what you were talking about now, before we get back to gear, sorry.
So,
do you play any other instrument, and do you see the importance of expanding your guitar universe by adding another instrument?
Yeah, I do play other instruments. I started playing drums. That was my first thing because I could hit it and it was loud, you know. And also I think because of my mum's side are all drummers, I find it like really satisfying to try to just keep a beat, you know. And I play piano, play saxophone, you know, I just pick up any instruments and I'll try to make a sound out of it because I find it inspiring to play other instruments because it kind of gives you a different aspect of what the instrument you were good at. You know, I love playing bass for instance because I just go, I'm Pino Palladino. You know, I love that and also that will give, my end goal is, practice doesn't make perfect, it makes improvements. And I think improvements can be continued through your life as you play guitar and get older. And then you die and you still not be the best guitar player you ever be. You know what I mean? I think you can always keep learning other things, keep being inspired. And go on Instagram, scroll up and instead of going, oh this fucking guy again, he's just really shit, I could do exactly the same thing. Just go, oh man, that's really amazing. You're really good. I'm going to take something from this. You know, that was another gold corn, we call it golden egg nugget I got from Thomas, my drummer cousin. He was like, just, you know, you have to just don't stand and say why haven't I got this gig? I could do that much better than that guy, you know, and just keep doing that. And you're 18 years old and you're like, oh look at me mum, I got a new guitar, you know. and then it's when you finally get a chance to go on stage, you know, because people go, what the fuck is this dude doing? You know, they'd rather have to just do like a and play exactly what it needs to be played. You know, and then just to be happy for people. And eventually, if you're a nice enough guy, it's also about being cool. And if you can play guitar and you do what there needs to be done. I've had guitar player friends who was fired from big gigs because they couldn't not play fucking all the time. And then you got an artist that just looked back, what the fuck, what are you doing? Yeah. You know? And then it's like, you don't need that. You know, and I'm not paying you all this money. I need you to turn up on time, and then I need you to play exactly what is on the album. You know, but you got to I can't help myself. I must, you know. And it's funny, and I've just been lucky to play gigs. You know, being out in the
street. Are you still invited or trying to get you into gigs now?
I still do gigs once in a while. You know, we're old guys now. You know, we're old blues stars, and we'll go out and do weddings and you know.
I mean, for bigger tours or bigger programs.
No, I haven't had anything yet. But you know, I would do it if something came along. But I feel like it would have to be something where I would get on with the people really well, and I would like the music, you know, because it's important to me that I think I'm in an age now where I can't believe I'm saying that.
So let's go back to gear, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So is gear inspires you?
Yeah, gear inspires me, 100%. You know, guitars, that's the main thing, is just being able to pick up a piece of gear and then get inspired by that. And you know, I would even go to as far as say, when you buy your first guitar, it's so important when you look at it that you're like, oh, cool.
I want it.
I'm fucking, you come over here. You're sitting on the sofa. Now I'm gonna get you. Now I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna, you know, and you don't want to put it down. I think, you know, people say, oh, picking with your eyes is one thing, but I think it's really important. You know, that the first guitar you buy, you also like the look of, not because your guitar teacher said, oh, you need a nylon string guitar because that's the best thing to learn on first. Yeah. Like, fuck off! You know, get fucked! And I've always used that when I teach, and I don't do much teaching. I do once in a case while. I do like an online thing when I've got time. You know, it's just, yeah. It's not just play what you want to play, you know, and have some gear that you like, you know. And I always had kids. I remember having kids, and they clearly all they wanted was to play football. They didn't want to play guitar, but their mum was just putting them into guitar lessons every week. It's like, oh, have you practiced? You know, like, no, I haven't practiced. Okay, fine. So I would just go straight to the parents and go, he doesn't want to play guitar, because she doesn't want to play guitar. Stop spending your money and let them do something that they want to do. I've got the 3 kids, like guitars and gear and shit everywhere in the house. And they play guitar, but I've never gone, well, I'm play the guitar. You know, when we were watching Stranger Things, you know, and there was that Metallica's thing come out. What is it? You know, and it came out, and my middle daughter, she was just into this Stranger Things. And he's like, Danny, can I get a guitar and an amp to my room? I was like, absolutely, yeah. So I got a little Fender amp, and she had a little guitar up there. And then I could just hear like YouTube, and then I could hear, and you know, and then she just sat down, and she just did it. Okay. And then she put it all away again. So sat in the room, get kind of dust, but it was that's the thing. That is so important, you know, and that they want to do it, or people want to do it, because it's a passion of all of ours, I'm sure it is, right? So,
absolutely.
Questions? No?
Do you want me to push Pete into Digest or the Kraken?
Ooh.
Which way you more prefer? Go to?
I would probably more prefer that one, but it's
really?
very similar.
So we're going to challenge you now with the Kraken.
Yeah, put it in the Kraken. Do it.
Best clean channel we've met.
No, it's not. So now we don't have any reverb in this amp, right?
It's all factory, so I don't know. Maybe it's too loud.
Actually, just to mention also, on this one here is an EL86 tube. Yeah, so it's a different tube, but it's the same tube. And it's just more available, and it sounds great. You know, that's a Martin thing. You just go, oh, we can use this is great, and we've got plenty of them, so why don't we just use that? And you go, people don't like that, this is not the number that they want, you know.
You just put a sticker on it, right?
Yeah, it's just, people, again, when it comes to guitars, and everyone's so focused on the fret size and the radius, and you know, with pedals, it's like the brand, but actually just try some stuff out. Don't be closed for the changes, you know, and then it'll inspire you to play more. Play out. What inspired you guys? Anyone? No?
You for instance.
Yeah, but it's, you know, no. I think it's just, you know, I'm just lucky to do what I do, to be honest. But anyway, let's do the Kraken, come on.
Yeah.
This is a nice tone, isn't it? I'll put a bit of reverb on from the Flint. Maybe a bit of Fat Gentleman. See if we can do a loop maybe. See where that gets us. We're not gonna hit it now, right, am I? And then I need to turn it up because I turned it down. Let's see if I got it the right place without listening to it. I didn't. Let's do it again. That was wrong. See, I do this every day. This is what we do in the morning. Like, do 4 videos, come up with an intro loop, outro loop, and then do that 4 times. 8 intro and outro songs. It's a lot, man. What am I doing here? What am I doing? Okay. Shooting myself in the foot, that's what I'm doing. Something like that, anyway.
And that's a typical use of a craftsman, right?
Yeah, this is what we do in practice all the time. I mean, it's quite impressive that you can. I mean, this is the digital plus loop. I really like that loop, but it goes straight into the front of the amp, and you're sending so much signal into it. And I'm putting an overdrive on top of it. I've got a compressor on as well, and a reverb, and it doesn't crap out on it. It's still very clean. And Kraken is not a clean amplifier, but Repair can play clean, you know, and he's great at it. So it's pretty impressive.
Push the second channel.
You do it. I feel sorry for the people who sit right in that line. Fuck!
They sit here on a reason.
You know, that was under the Brit, so. I haven't actually played this one yet. I've played the first version. Yeah, I got one and it's really good, but it's very sort of... I don't know how...
You definitely hear that you're playing a Strat.
Yeah, you can hear, that's what it is that you can hear that it's got... And that's super cool, when an amplifier can take that you doesn't plug a Les Paul in and it sounds like a Strat. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can hear the Strat sound.
So, one question we asked one of our guitarists here in Hungary. What is your main instrument you're playing? Is the amp or the guitar?
It's a really good question, actually. What would you rather, and this is not a naughty one, what would you rather, cheap guitar, expensive amp, or expensive guitar and cheap amp? What would you like? Who's for cheap amp and expensive guitar? Raise your hand. And who is for cheap guitar, expensive amp? See, that's the right answer. And honestly, in my opinion, I'm not saying cheap amp and cheap modeler. You know, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying, you know, it's so. I think it's also the inspiration again to have an amp. Buy a Katana. It's great for the money. There's nothing wrong with it, you know. And as a beginner, buy a second-hand Hot Rod Deluxe. You know, I know they're loud. You know, that's another reason why I put a master volume on this, because you can effectively just turn it down and use it at home with the 1x12 cab. Cheap amp. Well, it's a really difficult one, isn't it? Because if you want a guitar, and sometimes you want that guitar. I want that guitar, and it's $3,000. You buy that guitar, and then you plug it into like a little Yamaha TXR, and you're like, well, you know, in my opinion, you should have spent the 3 amp on a guitar. I suppose if you could put 3-4 amps on a guitar, you could get an amp, $1,000, $2,000 on an amp. Right? Sorry, that's a question.
Yeah, so I would like to argue with you.
Come on, then.
Go ahead.
I think a lot of us saw the video about which is better, cheap amp versus expensive amp.
Yeah,
you know, your video, and I agree that the expensive amp setup sounds better. I think we can agree on that. But if you have an expensive guitar, that's like your personal instrument. That's what you know. That's like the instrument, and you can plug it into many different amps depending on the scenarios. Whether you are, I don't know, in a living room, and you know you have a Yamaha DHR, for example, or you can plug it in to a JCM 800 100 watt, and you know, so I don't really.
So I know what you're saying, but I would still argue if you're. That was going back to my point when I was doing all the touring. I had all the standard guitars, which are standard 1,700 quid. Nothing is over $2,000. It's still expensive. Don't get me wrong. That is an expensive guitar for a lot of people. You know, I'm talking. I would rather buy a Squier Telly, a Squier Strat, which are £349 each, right? And then spend on like a second-hand Hot Rod Deluxe or something. Because they're cheap guitars, but they're really good cheap guitars. Guitars now, there's another reason is that if you're not good enough, I mean, this sounds like a fucking bellend saying this, but if you're not good enough to play a cheap guitar, you're not good enough to play an expensive guitar. And if you can't make a cheap amp sound, or you know, there's no point in spending if you have. And it's marginal, man. It's so marginal from a $5,000 Strat and a 500 quid Telecast Squier. There's the margins in how good it is like this, right? But if you're not even good enough to make this sound good, you'll never ever be able to make this sound, get out of it what you can get out of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I wanted to do this video for a long time. And Leo was like, oh, I don't want him to do that. Because he knows the
doesn't help sales.
It's like, oh, it doesn't help sales. But I talked to John Mayer, we do chat once in a while. And he's
he chats and
we just chat. You know, well, he said, he was saying as well that he was talking about amplifiers and if you have to be good enough to play it. If you plug into an SL amp like Laszlo's 150 watt, 100 watt. Like I've plugged into a Dumble at NAMM. I got to play a Dumble.
Cool.
And if you don't know what you're doing, it's gonna sound shit, right? So and it's the same by playing. I played I'm so lucky. I'm just talking about all this shit. It's coming back like, wow, you did that. When the first Super Eagle came out with I was never a PRS fan. I get them now. And I was playing the first Super Eagle, $15,000. It's like the rings off, the watch off, the fucking everything off. Almost naked on the guitar. and you're like, I don't understand it. And then I played a little bit And then I got to understand it, and then they thought, if I play guitar for 4 or 5 years, I mean, it depends on your talent and how much you practice and all that stuff. But I played guitar for, almost 40 years now. And I've played thousands of guitars and thousands of pedals and thousands of amps, in the last 10 years. You learn so much, and it's marginal. It's like an acoustic guitar. We don't ever talk about acoustic guitars. I don't know why people don't talk about acoustic. It's like playing a Martin and a copy of a Martin. And if there's a strumming, if you play an 800 quid Martin copy, you get this much. If you play a Martin, you can get this much. But if you can't strum that to get the best use out of this, you'll never get the best use out of Martin. And that's all practice and playing all the time, till you can play a G chord a million different ways. Or you can play a note with a pick a million different ways with your fingers, and you get into it's almost like a science of how it is to play guitars, not just about playing scales up and down, or knowing what mode goes to this chord when I change from the 2-5-1-6 and it goes, it's not all about that. There's so much more behind it that, I'm so good at theory, okay, let's play a blues and only use 2 notes, or 3 notes, just use those 4 notes, and that's all you get, right? And then especially come out, give it to me, right? I want to see you 100%. And that's the thing. If you can't, there's no point in buying a $5 guitar if you're not good enough. Unless you got money and you're like, fuck it, I'll just buy whatever, and I'll have
especially Victory amps, right?
Yeah. Buy the Victory amps. They're great.
Any questions?
Yeah, but so is the difference between, let's say, like a Fender, that there are these Asian Fender amplifiers, like a Blues Devil or
Blues Junior and all that stuff.
Yeah, all that stuff, and like V40, because like in that case the price difference is big. Also the quality difference is kind of similar to like a PRS Silver Sky SE and like.
Yeah, but an SE is great. I mean, I've got an SE and it's a great guitar, and I've got a Silver Sky as well, and it is better. It is better.
Yeah,
but you have to be able to do the fullest out of that, and then get this. And amps is essentially it's the same thing, and it's the same thing with pedals. There's no reason an overdrive pedal should cost 300 quid. At the end of the day, or a clunge should cost £6,000, because it's a fucking overdrive pedal, and you can get hundreds copies of it that sounds nearly identical. Right? We've just done another clunge shootout, and unless you're good enough to get the cheapest one to sound good, you're never going to get the fullest out of everything else. And I think it's the same all over the board. But then you get like things like the Katana, Ross Katana. It's just like all rounder. You can be a beginner, or you can be better, and it'll just give you,
the whole range.
They get the whole range. It's never going to be a tube amp. Like a QC is never going to be a tube amp, or Kemper is never going to be a tube amp, but it's got their place. If I was going to go back up on a tour now, and I was doing arenas with an artist that wasn't really, didn't mean anything to me, I would probably use a Kemper, and I would profile my amps and the sounds I had, and I would just use that, and it would be consistent every night, and there wouldn't be anything, and the soundman would be happy. Here's jack in and out, and that's it. That's all I have. I would probably do that, and you've been in ears, and it doesn't matter. There's no the feel you lose, man. We did 17 people in the band the last time. There'll be 17 people in the band, and we're so far away from each other that it's double this room. And the stage is that way. There's no connection. You're completely disconnected from any musicians that are on that stage, apart from the person that stands right like here with you, and you keep going. But it's all here. There's no feel anywhere. That's really difficult. And then everything is on a click. Click constantly in your ear for like 5 minutes. You get nuts. There's much more to, being a professional musician. It taught me so much about music and about gear and about tones and about playing all you have to play and just picking up a guitar and playing that, and you can be in South America somewhere and your guitar's completely fucked because of the humidity and there's nobody can do anything about it, but you have to play in front of 20,000 people in 2 minutes. You just do it, But and it takes a long time to get that point, and if you're not I've been lucky to get to those points in my life or in my career where you go with like, now I'm here, now I'm going to learn from that, and then I go to the next level, then you learn from that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so difficult to get stories out of you.
You're going to go on stage and you're just going to sit there.
Right, so Pete, thank you very much for coming to.
Oh, it's my pleasure, thank you so much.
Since Jamie and Julie from Earthquaker had to leave